POV, it's Christmas morning, and you just come downstairs and you see a present. You know exactly what it is. You open it, and you got a nice VR headset, a meta quest. But now, what games do you get? Keep in mind that my ratings are just an opinion, but I have over 3 years of VR experience, so I think you can trust me. Coming in at number 5, we have Superhot VR. This game is really unique as time only moves when you move, and this game goes around for $19.99 US dollars. I will be ranking these games based off of how much time it takes for you to get bored, or like how long it takes for you to beat it, depending on what kind of game it is. And then also the quality of the game based off of like how well detailed things are, or if the devs really didn't care about putting effort into their game. But then also rating it by gameplay mechanics, such as what makes the game more unique and stand out than others. So let's start ranking them. So with Superhot, it has around 28, maybe 30 levels, I believe. And these levels generally take around 5 minutes each to beat. There's also an endless mode and different challenges like headshots only, 1 life, and like real-time speedruns and in-game speedruns. There's so much to offer in this game, but generally for me, after like total playtime, it takes me around 5 hours after getting bored of the game. So on total playtime, I would rank it a 6.5 out of 10. Now moving on to the quality of the game, even though it's only really red, white, and like navy blue color, it really is quite high quality because there's also kind of a story that kind of goes on. Even though it doesn't seem like it, there's a lot of hidden lore and things around, and I think that the game is pretty high quality with some of the physics and stuff like that. Obviously it's nothing crazy, but it's not bad. I think I'd give it a decent 5 out of 10. Moving on to our last category before we get to our next game, uniqueness. Obviously, this game is super unique, being a combat game, but every time you move, your enemies move. So it's really fun to dodge and shoot and stuff like that. So on uniqueness, I probably have to give this game a 8 out of 10. Coming in at number 4, we have Beat Saber. Beat Saber is a really fun music rhythm game that has to do with lightsabers cutting blocks. This game goes around for $29.99. Now the reason this game is so low on the list is because it has quite a variety to choose from, but about 3/4 of them you have to pay $2 for every song. So it is quite pricey. Although it is really fun, I feel like a lot of the levels are overpriced. But let's get into rating it. So on the game's length, I'm going to give it a 8 because although there's a decent amount of songs to play through, there's also multiplayer after, and that's unlimited, really. And then on the quality, I'm going to give it a 6 because the game has a lot of unique things and nice backgrounds, but like it's not a super realistic game. Like it's not real life looking, but obviously it's not meant to be. But I'm still going to give it a 6 out of 10. And then lastly, on the uniqueness, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I mean, lightsabers, cutting blocks, it's pretty unique. There's not much else to say, but let's get into our next game. Coming in at number 3, we have No More Rainbows. No More Rainbows is a pretty unique game where you play as the villain. Now, these pesky puff people have invaded your village, and you have to kill them all and send them back to their realm. Now the movement is quite unique. It's locomotion. If you don't know what that means you move with your arms. Now this game has like over 6 levels and multiplayer, so there's a lot. There's also all these cosmetics and different skins, so that's why this game is number 3. But anyway, let's get into rating it. Now, on the game's length, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. This is really high because there's multiplayer, as you see here, and there's also over 6 worlds to choose from. Each world has 5 levels in it, a boss battle, and a bonus level in all of those worlds. So, there's quite a lot to do in this game. For the quality, I give it an 8 out of 10 because there's lots of little details and the game looks pretty good overall. For the uniqueness, I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10 because the whole theme, it's kind of like Mario in a way. That part isn't that unique, but the part where you get to be the villain is what makes it more unique. So that's why this is a 6.5 out of 10. Anyway, let's get on to our Second to last, we have Blade and Sorcery. Blade and Sorcery is a full physics-based VR sword and magic spell fantasy fighting game. Yeah, what makes this game really good is that it's full physics, which means everything you touch has collision and its own weight, which is really cool and makes the game more realistic. This game is also rated M, so warning, this isn't for any little 8-year-old Timmies. Blade and Sorcery goes around for $19.99, but anyway, let's get into rating it. Starting with the game's length, I'd say that it's an 8 out of 10, because it's a sandbox game, so it's not really you can ever finish it, but it doesn't get boring after a while, especially because there's a ton of mods. Now on the quality of the game, I'd give it a 9.5, because it's pretty realistic, and it seems like the devs put a lot of detail into some of the things. Now, obviously this is just running on the Quest, so don't expect it to have super high PC graphics, because this game is also on PC, and the PC version obviously looks better, but this is still a 9.5 out of 10. Lastly, the uniqueness of the game, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. The game isn't that unique. It's basically like Skyrim in VR, if you think of it that way. It's just a medieval sword fighting game with magic and spells. So that's why it's a 5 out of 10. But anyway, still a great game. But let's get on to our last and final game. Hey, you! If you're still watching, don't forget to subscribe because I make lots of awesome VR content. Anyway, our number 1 game is Gorilla Tag. Now, this probably comes no surprise to most of you, but to the people that are new, let me explain exactly what Gorilla Tag is and what makes it so great. Gorilla Tag is a locomotion game and it's multiplayer, which means a lot of endless fun. The game has many maps and cosmetics to go to and choose from. It updates regularly around every month, so there's always fresh new content coming out. Now the community, half of it is split, nice, and some are more toxic, but anyway, this game is super fun. There's all these different game modes to choose from. There's normal infection tag, and paint brawl, and all these other fun things. Anyway, let's get into rating it. For the game's length, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. Because, like I said earlier, the multiplayer, fresh new updates, a lot of content creators make a lot more content, which means that the game's always becoming more fascinating. It really just always brings you back. If you stop playing it for a few weeks, you always come back and the game's super fun. The quality is of course also 10 out of 10. There's lots of good details and it looks pretty good. Obviously it's not super realistic for say Blade and Sorcery. Now obviously this is meant to be more of a pixely game. Like think of Minecraft. It's literally the #1 top selling game and it's literally pixels. So now lastly, the uniqueness. 10 out of 10 as well. Like, who would have thought? Gorillas playing tag. Like, that is super unique. This game is super fun. I highly recommend getting it. And here's the final ratings. Thank you so much for watching.